Ooh, nice boar. This video is for beginners, people who don't have a lot of experience with MMO games and don't know anything about keybinding. This video is also for people who primarily click their abilities and want to get into keybinding. If you're looking for a more advanced guide, I have one of those, link in the description. I am here to show you the basics of keybinding and to give you some useful tips from a WoW veteran. First off, let's add some bars because one bar is not going to be enough. So we're going to go into our menu here, go to interface options, action bars, and we're going to add these 4 bars. And you can have them always show if you want, if that's your thing. I'll do that for the video right now. And that way we have all these bars to drag out abilities, items, macros to. Alright, now let's get into actually making some keybinds. So we're going to go into the main menu again and go to keybindings. You can see here on the action bar, this is our 1 bar down here and some other things. Those are already bound. You can change those if you want. And the multi-action bar is the bars we just put out there. This is the bottom left, bottom right, and then the 2 right ones. Now to make a new keybind, it's as simple as clicking here and then selecting the key you want to be there. So we could make that T, for instance. You want your lightning bolt to be T, you put it there, now T does your lightning bolt. Now this is all pretty straightforward, but let me show you the bartender add-on, and I think you're going to like it. Alright, so now I have the bartender add-on enabled, and I can open it by typing /BT. And the first thing I like to do is get rid of the Blizzard art bar. And there we go. And if we unlock, we see we have all these bars to work with. We can move them around however we want. We can move the menu, the bags over here. We have the XP bars. We can make them bigger or smaller if you want a little bit smaller XP bar. We have 10 bars here. You can make them horizontal or vertical. Pretty simple. You can move everything around. And the easy thing about this, let's go ahead and lock this, is key binding becomes a lot faster. Let's say I put this ability here. Now I type /KB and it opens the key binding interface. If there's something bound, you mouse over, hit escape to remove that bind. I mouse over this. Let's say I want this to be 3. I mouse over it, hit 3. It's now 3. It's that easy to just change keybinds quickly, move everything around, really customizable. So I highly suggest you get an add-on like this. This is Bartender 4. It works great with Classic. Now, usually what people think of when they hear keybinds is abilities, items, or macros bound on the action bar. But some of the most important keybinds are none of these things. Here are some of the most important things that I think you should change when you start playing. Now, number 1 is the auto run keybind, and this is something Bartender can't help you with, so you're gonna have to go into your key bindings the good old-fashioned way. Now it's right here under movement keys. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this toggle auto run. You can use start and stop auto run, but it's easier with just 1 button for toggle. Now by default, it's set to numlock, which is a weird key. It's not easy to hit with your left hand. You have to take your right hand off the mouse to hit it. What I personally use is F1. A lot of people like to use mouse buttons and stuff like that too. So find something that's going to be easy for you to hit. You're going to be doing a lot of auto running in this game. Now the second keybinds I'm going to tell you should change is your camera zoom. Now the reason for this is not because the keybind for camera zoom are bad. They start default as mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down. But because those 2 keybinds, your mouse wheel keybinds, are so useful for actual abilities, and this really isn't a game where you need to be zooming in and out all the time. So I typically make these control arrow up and control arrow down, and that way I have mouse wheel up and down to bind to abilities and macros items. I usually make mouse wheel up kick, pummel, or interrupt, counterspell on most of my characters. Now, the next keys I'm going to tell you to change are your movement keys. Personally, I've changed mine from WASD to ESDF. You can see here. You can also see here that I don't have backpedal keybound. Now, I'm going to keybind this just to show you, but backpedaling is a lot slower than any other kind of movement in the game. In PvP, this can be really detrimental. So if you are a person who's prone to backpedaling, one of the best ways to stop doing it is to simply unbind the key. Now, there can be arguments about whether this is useful or not, particularly for tanks. Some tanks find this useful when tanking bosses or groups of mobs, and I'll leave that up to you. But if you are a person struggling with backpedaling, specifically in PvP, this might be a good way to help you stop. Now, these last two are general tips. If you play more than one class, which most people do, bind similar abilities to similar keys. And sometimes it's even the same thing. If you have health potions on all your classes, make it the same keybind. You see, I have Control R and Control T for water and food. That's the same across all my different characters. It makes it easier to remember. I don't have to do a lot of thinking to use my abilities, I just do them. And the last tip I'll give you for someone just getting into keybinding is get a mouse with at least 2 or 3 thumb buttons. Your left hand is already doing most of the work of keybinding. Let your right hand help out a little. Get a few thumb buttons, and then you can use Shift, Alt, or Control variations of those buttons as well. And you've already added, 2 to 8 keybinds easily. Thank you for watching my guide. I hope you found it useful. If you would like to talk to me in real time, you can find me streaming at twitch.tv/Leecherboy, link in the description. Up next, I will have a more in-depth warrior-specific guide, and most likely a guide on how to arms Ravager tank in Classic WoW, since that's all the rage now. And as always, happy gaming.